Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents 3 Barks for Murder by Susie Gayle. Narrated by Ray Greenley. Chapter 1. I'm standing on a step stool in front of the storefront windows of the pet shop stop, hanging a large poster board sign when I call out over my shoulder, "How about Pookie?" Behind me, I hear Sarah groan, and I don't need to turn to know she's doing the thing where she scrunches up her nose in mock disgust. "Oh my God, no!" "Okay. How about Puddin'?" "For Pete's sake," she grumbles as she changes out the water dishes in the dog kennels. "Schmoopsy Poo?" I suggest. "Will?" All of this is coming on the heels of my realization that I don't have a pet name for my girlfriend of a little more than 7 months. Or nearly 8, if you're a glass-half-full kind of guy like me. Sarah, who also happens to be my pet shop's sole employee, heard me call Rowdy by one of his nicknames the other day and found it amusing. Since then, I've been trying hard to come up with one for her. Rowdy, the shelter dog that I adopted earlier this year, is part terrier and part terror, and on any given day, mood-dependent of course, might be known as Rowdy, Roro, Rudy, Rowdy Roddy Piper, or Wonder Dog. Sarah calls him Cutie Pie, but only because he's learned to kiss up to her after he's done something bad that he knows I'll be angry about. Darn dog is too smart for his own good. Heck, even my fiend of an ex-wife had a nickname. Her name is Karen, maiden name Bear, so when we were together I called her Care Bear. Now she's Karen Bear again, and behind closed doors, Sarah and I simply refer to her as the Bear, for reasons I'll impart a little later. So naturally, once I realized I didn't have a pet name for Sarah, the search was on. "Sarasota," I offer as I climb down from the step stool. "Serendipity, Saran Wrap." "Seriously." I didn't even notice that she'd crossed the store floor and is standing right behind me. She puts a hand on each shoulder and her green eyes bore into mine as she tells me, "If you don't stop, I'm leaving you." "Fine. But one will come to me eventually." "Great. A nickname should be organic, off the cuff, not forced." She grabs the broom and pushes it into my hands. "Besides, I don't have one for you." I fake a gasp. "You're right, you don't. You're a terrible girlfriend." She shrugs. "But I'm a great employee, so you can't get rid of me." She glances around the store. "Okay, the animals are fed and watered, signs are up, paperwork is out. Are we missing anything?" "No, I don't think so," I reply, as I start sweeping up tufts of dog hair and tiny pellets of errant chinchilla poop. They throw it at people for attention. I wish I was kidding. "You've done a great job organizing this whole thing." This afternoon, my store, the pet shop stop in downtown Seaview Rock, is hosting an adoption event for dogs and cats from a local animal shelter. It was Sarah's idea, of course. That's how we met, actually. She was a volunteer there, and a mutual friend introduced us. Since she started working here just over a year ago now, we've taken the occasional shelter dog or cat to show off alongside the pets we have for sale. It's a bit less money coming in, but the satisfaction of seeing one of them adopted into a good home is far more satisfying than a little more cash in the till. "Do you think people will come?" Sarah asks nervously, twirling a strand of auburn hair around a finger. "Of course they will, especially this close to the holidays. You know people are looking for pets, and adopting is a heck of a lot cheaper than buying from a pet store or puppy mill." I know how odd that statement sounds coming from a guy that runs a pet store, but I never, ever get any of my dogs from puppy mills. Those places are despicable. It's accredited breeders all the way for this shop. "Oh!" Sarah says suddenly. "I forgot treats." I frown. We have plenty of treats. Not pet treats, you doofus. People treats. Like a plate of cookies or something. Good idea. I checked my watch. Still got plenty of time before the event. I'll run to the store real quick. I untie my apron and fetch my keys and jacket from behind the counter. Rowdy sees me and leaps off his doggy bed in the corner, wagging his tail furiously. No, pal, you stay here with Sarah. Sarah muses. You know, I think I like doofus. Yeah, that could stick. Sure thing, schmoopsy poo. Will, no. Back in a jiffy. I wink and head out the door. A lot of people, when they talk about their ideal place to live, they mention warm places with beaches and palm trees. Or maybe a big city where there's lots going on and lights and sounds and all that. Not me, though. If you ask me where I'd want to live, given anywhere in the world, I'd say Seaview Rock, which is great for me because that's where I live. And it's true that coastal Maine in early December isn't exactly a picnic, but I can't help but love this little town. It's remained veritably unchanged since the mid-19th century or so, when the tiny fishing village it was exploded into a certified seaside town, and we work hard to preserve that. Any and all renovations or construction done around here is strictly reviewed and overseen by the town council, which makes sure to maintain the colonial revival style that most of the town is shaped after. Besides, the weather's not all that bad lately. We've been enjoying a balmy 40-degree average for a few weeks now, probably as a result of someone upstairs feeling bad about the terrible ice storm they sent our way back in October. The nice thing about living in a small, self-sufficient town is that just about everything is close, so it only takes me a few minutes to get down to Miller's store and buy a tray of Italian cookies. Since the adoption event isn't starting until 2, I decide to pop into Sammy's barber shop for a quick hello. Sammy is a tall Italian-American fellow with jet black hair that he slicks back off his forehead. He runs a classic style of shop, one with a slowly spinning candy cane-striped sign outside. It's the kind of place that always smells like talcum powder and aftershave, where old men sit around reading newspapers and chatting idly, even when they're not there for a haircut. Sammy is also my best friend of going on 2 decades. He's a great listener, and has a knack for offering sagacious advice, even when I don't ask him to. As I head inside the shop, a bell over the door chimes, and he looks up from over the dome of his patron with a big smile. "Hey, Will," he greets. "Here for a trim?" I self-consciously run my hand over my hair. It's only been a few weeks since I last had it cut. "Just stopping by. Hi, Marcus, Frank." In the leather waiting chairs that line one long wall of the shop, 2 retirees grunt their hellos from behind unfolded newspapers. Marcus and Frank are the regulars, a couple of guys that spend their afternoons in Sammy's shop, belittling politicians and solving all the world's problems, and then at 5 o'clock skedaddle on down to the Runside, our local watering hole, to promptly forget all their solutions. "You coming down to the adoption event, Sammy boy?" I crinkle my nose in dismay as I realize that even Sammy has a few nicknames, Sam-I-Am and Samwise Gamgee being among my favorites. I really have to step up my boyfriend game. He glances at his watch. "I don't know. I have a pretty busy afternoon, but I'll do my best to swing by, as long as you don't try to pawn a cat off on me. You know I'm allergic." "You're not allergic. You just get creeped out by the idea of tongue baths." He shrugs and then lowers his tone, as if it would somehow matter in the otherwise quiet barbershop. "Hey, I saw your ex yesterday." "So?" Earlier this year, Karen moved from Portland, Maine back to Seaview Rock, which, due to mathematical probability and the town's small size, means that we occasionally run into each other. "She was with some guy," Sammy tells me conspiratorially. "Really? That's great!" Ever since Karen came back to town, I've had the suspicion that she's out to break up me and Sarah, or at least throw wrenches in our relationship. And by suspicion, I mean hard evidence of an overt nature. But if she's dating again too, maybe she'll stop the pettiness. Or at least a guy can dare to dream. That's the thing, Sammy tells me. The guy she was with was Jeff Abernathy. So? I say again. The name doesn't ring a bell. Small town or not, it's impossible to know everybody. So, he's married. Of course, Frank and Marcus perk right up when he says that. Nosy do-nothings. Huh, is all I say. Karen is a grown woman. She can do as she pleases. Not that she should, but it's none of my business anymore. And yeah, it's totally petty. And yeah, I'm a 37-year-old man with a business and responsibilities. But I can't wait to get back to the shop and tell Sarah the gossip. Chapter 2. A married man? Really? Sarah balks as I arrange the purchased cookies on a tray at the counter. That's what Sammy said, and he's a reliable source. How do you feel about that? She asks. What? The question takes me off guard. I don't have any feelings about it one way or another. She can do what she wants. Sarah scrutinizes me while she nods slowly. Don't do that, I tell her. I feel like you're analyzing me. She doesn't have to say it for me to know exactly what she's thinking. See, about 4 years ago, Karen and I were still married. Until I found out she was having an affair with some dude from Portland. We divorced, she moved, and then when things didn't work out with Portland guy, she came back to Seaview Rock. What Sarah's actually implying is, how does the thought of her ruining another marriage make me feel? We don't have time for that, I tell her. You can play therapist later. It's nearly 2. You ready? Ready. The adoption event goes off splendidly. A few dozen people come and go over the 3-hour window, and out of the 10 dogs and cats that we sponsored, 8 are adopted. Sarah, who still volunteers weekly at the shelter, knows firsthand the personality and temperament of each animal, and helps those looking for a pet match them with the best fit for them. Of course, the shop benefits too. Anyone who adopts an animal also needs a collar, a leash, treats, toys, food, a bed, and what have you. By 4:45, the plate of cookies is little more than crumbs, and we start winding down to clean up and get all the adoption paperwork together. Wow, I say to Sarah. I don't think I've ever had that many people in the shop at one time. That was terrific. Nicely done. Thank you. You know, we could do this every month if we wanted. The door to the shop swings open and a couple walks in, followed by a third person. A short woman with bob-length brown hair. Karen. Great. You handle the couple, I murmured to Sarah. I'll tackle the bear. Roger that, she replies quietly. Then louder, with her arms out at her sides, she says, Hello! Welcome to the pet shop stop. I'm Sarah. As she helps the couple, I step right into Karen's path and force my biggest, fakest smile. Rowdy trots over to my side and sizes her up, letting out a low growl. What can I say? He's an excellent judge of character. Hi, Karen, I greet warmly. How are you? Good? Why are you here? She shrugs. I heard you were having an adoption event. Figured I'd stop by and see for myself. I scoff. You never wanted a pet before. Grow up, Will. People can change. Besides, it's just me, all alone, and my place is cat-friendly. So, remember what I said about Karen's life being none of my business and she can do what she wants? Yeah, forget all that. Opportunities like this don't come along often. That's not exactly what I hear, I say offhandedly. She stares at me blankly. No, it's definitely cat-friendly. That's not what I mean. Word on the street is, you're gallivanting around with some married guy named Jeff. She laughs at me. Okay, First of all, don't say word on the street. You're not in a noir film. Second, gallivanting? Really? And third, do you even know who Jeff Abernathy is? No, I say honestly. She points to the guy that came in right before her. That's Jeff Abernathy, and that's his wife, Anna. They're friends of mine, and the only reason we were gallivanting when Sammy saw us, since I'm sure it was your loudmouth barber friend that told you, was because I was helping Jeff pick out a birthday present for her. Oh. Yeah. As the kids these days would say, I just got owned. Do kids these days say that? I think they say that. So then, she says, hands on her hips, are you going to show me a cat or not? I know darn well that we only have one cat left that wasn't adopted, and a trio of ridiculously adorable kittens for sale. But I hold up a finger and tell her, 1 second, let me check what we've got. I head quickly over to Sarah, who's showing the couple the puppies in the kennel that line one wall of the shop, and tap her gently on the shoulder. Excuse me, she says to the couple. Switch, I whisper. What? She wants to see cats. Show her cats. Please? Will, that is so awkward. I know, but it's easier for you than for me. I fold my hands and try to put on my best puppy dog eyes. Pretty please, I'll make it up to you. I'll take that musical review thing that I hate. She purses her lips thoughtfully. Fine, but you have to take me to dinner too, and a nice place, not the run side. Come on, don't disparage the run side. Fancy dinner, she says with a finger in my face. You got it. To the couple, she says sweetly, It was nice meeting you both. Will is going to take care of you from here. And then she takes a deep breath, puts on a big smile, and heads over to Karen. You might be thinking that I'm a terrible person, shoving Sarah onto Karen like that, but the two of them barely know each other. There's no resentment to come bubbling to the surface from a simple interaction. At least, I hope. Chapter 3. I watch them for just a moment, making sure that no blows are being exchanged. And when it seems like all is civil, I turn back to the couple to find the guy, Jeff apparently, petting Rowdy and cooing him.
Who's a good boy? You're a good boy. Yes, you are.
Jeff looks up at me and asks,
Hey, is this guy up for adoption?
No, sorry. That's my dog. He hangs out in the shop.
Oh, bummer.
Jeff pats Rowdy once more and stands. He's a burly fellow, as tall as me with sandy hair and a bit of a paunch, dressed in jeans and a plain t-shirt under his coat. By contrast, his wife Anna is well dressed. A bit overly done for a pet shop visit, in my opinion. With a lot of makeup and curly blonde hair. She smiles politely and stands straight with her hands clasped in front of her, as if she went to finishing school or something.
So this is the only guy left for adoption, huh?
Jeff asks as he inspects the little dog in the kennel, a 6-year-old gray schnauzer.
I dig the beard.
Don't say dig, Anna says quietly. You're a grown man. The smile never leaves her face. Weird. Jeff ignores her.
What's his temperament like?
Oh, this little guy is great, I tell them. Good with kids and other dogs. Very playful. There are 2 reasons this poor fella hasn't been adopted today. One is that he's already 6, and even though schnauzers have a healthy lifespan, for most people that's already too old. The other reason? Well, it's a little more complex.
What's his name?
Jeff asks, sticking his hand in and petting the docile pup. That's the other reason. His name is Cheese. I wince. Anna winces. Jeff's face breaks out into the biggest, goofiest grin I've ever seen.
No way!
he says, almost reverently.
That's perfect!
Huh? Why? I blurt out.
Because we have another dog at home, and his name is Crackers! Cheese and crackers!
Jeff laughs. His name is not Crackers, Anna says tersely, still smiling. His name is Oliver. You call him Crackers. Jeff shrugs.
Same diff. I think we should get him.
Anna stiffens. And I think that we shouldn't make rash decisions. They have other puppies here, and there are other places to look.
Look at that face!
Jeff points to Cheese, who blinks his big brown eyes.
This guy needs a home. No one else wanted him.
Can we maybe talk about this in private? Anna asks. Her eyes flit from me to Jeff, as if I'm the one intruding on them. Still, I take the hint. You folks take a minute. I'll be right over there. I retreat to the counter. What a strange couple. They seem to me to be pretty mismatched. I check in on Sarah's progress with Karen, and I'm shocked to see the latter cradling our last shelter cat in her arms, smiling broadly and stroking her head. See, one of the big reasons that Karen drifted, the biggest reason actually, was because the shop was doing well and she claimed that I loved the animals more than her. Not true. I was the sole employee of a thriving pet store. Of course it ate a lot of my time. And now, here she is in the same shop that she blames for the dissolution of our marriage, getting a pet? Life can be funny, though at the moment, I'm not laughing. So the adoption fee is $80, I hear Sarah telling Karen. And we'll throw in a free personalized engraved tag for her collar. Done, Karen says. Really? Sarah asks. Really? I ask. Yeah, really. Karen inspects the cat closely and adds, I think I'll call you Pookie. I wince. Sarah winces. There's a perfectly good nickname right out the window. As Sarah helps Karen fill out the paperwork, I venture closer to the couple under the pretense of tagging some chew toys for sale and finding that their private conversation has escalated into an argument of hisses and whispers. You never think things through, I hear Anna accuse quietly. You always want to jump in head first.
Sorry that I want to experience life, Jeff counters. I don't want every moment of my day scheduled in a stupid little planner like you do.
My planner is not stupid, she hisses back. How many times would you have forgotten doctor's appointments?
Look, we're getting off track again. Do you want the dog or not?
She sighs. His name is Cheese, for God's sake.
I know, it's perfect.
You're such a child sometimes.
What?
I said, what if he doesn't get along with Oliver? Okay, that's about enough of that. I smile big and intervene. Excuse me, hi. I couldn't help but overhear your concern. Tell you what, I can keep Cheese here at the shop, and we can schedule a time that I can bring him to your home, and we can see that if he and Oliver, get along. The couple looks at each other briefly, as if the term compromise had never been a part of their vocabulary. That could work, Anna says.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Dear Lord, don't say rad. Great! I clap my hands together. When's good for you?
Tomorrow,
Jeff says. You can't, Anna says quietly. You have a dentist appointment.
Then after,
he tells her. She scoffs and rolls her eyes, still smiling that tight smile all the while. Fine. Tomorrow. She digs in her handbag and pulls out a leather-bound day planner. Let's say 7 p.m.? Is that okay with you?
Sure is, I tell them. Tomorrow at 7. Bye, Cheese. Jeff gives the little schnauzer one more scratch under the chin. Sarah finishes ringing up Karen for her new cat carrier, food, and some other items, and the three of them leave together. The last thing I hear before they're out of earshot is Jeff saying, "Pookie? That's a dope name." And then Anna groaning and reminding him not to say dope.
Sheesh,
Sarah says, watching them go.
That woman is going to have permanent wrinkles from forcing that smile.
Yeah, she seemed wound pretty tight.
And that Jeff guy acts like he's 10 years younger than he is.
I shake my head.
Some people are so strange. Why would they even be together?
I don't know. Let's just promise never to be like that.
Agreed. So hey, how did all that go with the bear?
Pretty well, actually, Sarah admits.
She was very nice to me.
I don't like that.
Why not?
Because it makes me feel like she's up to no good.
She adopted a cat.
True enough. Let's just stay on our toes anyway.
Roger.
That's a terrible nickname. She punches me lightly in the arm. Chapter 4. The next morning I head down to the shop before opening time and perform my daily ritual of clipping half a dozen dogs to leashes and taking them all down to the small park a block away behind the store. It's not as difficult as it sounds. Most of the dogs are just pups. Cheese is small enough, and I've trained Rowdy to walk off leash. Once we're inside the fenced-in grassy area with the gate closed, I unclip them and let them run around for a while. Normally, Rowdy likes to play mother hen to the puppies, corralling them if they stray too far and breaking up fierce little fights. But today he seems to take a liking to Cheese. The two of them bound around the grass, rolling over each other and nipping playfully at one another's heels. When we get back, I let the dogs run around the shop, with the front and back doors closed and locked, while I change out the bedding in the kennels and give them fresh water. Then it's breakfast time, and back in the kennels for opening at 9 a.m. After that, I set about feeding, cleaning, and watering all of our smaller animals, the trio of kittens, a pair of ferrets, a handful of rabbits, a few guinea pigs, some hamsters and gerbils, turtles, parakeets, an array of small fish, and a few types of lizards. Sarah comes in around 11, having spent the morning at the animal shelter helping them sort and file the adoption paperwork from the event. Around 1, we grab lunch from It's a Pizza down the road, and that's when I decide to pop the question. "Sarah," I tell her, "I have to go to those weird people's house this evening with Cheese. Will you come with me? I don't want to be alone with them."
"Do you really think that's going to make it any less awkward?" she asks.
"No, but at least we'll be able to experience the awkwardness together." She snorts.
"Yeah, I'll come. But you already owe me big, Buster. I'm having trouble coming up with new ways for you to make things up to me."
Ordinarily, we wouldn't close the shop until 8, but because of our appointment with the Abernathys, we lock up at about 6:45 and clip Cheese to a leash. I tell Rowdy to stay behind at the shop. This is, after all, about crackers and cheese. He whines a little, but I promise him we'll be back soon and give him a rawhide to chew on. Then the three of us get into my SUV and head toward the hill. The address Jeff gave me leads us to a part of town that all the locals refer to as the Hill, though it's no higher in elevation than any other area of Seaview Rock. We call it that because it's where all the wealthy people live in these big, sprawling colonial-style houses.
"Uh-huh,"
Sarah murmurs when we pull up to the front of the Abernathy's house, a veritable manor on the end of a cul-de-sac. What? She gives me a flat glance.
"Look at this place. It's enormous. No wonder they stay together."
"For the lifestyle?"
Her next look says, "Duh." "If you were used to living like this, wouldn't you try to make it work?"
"I guess so." I shift uncomfortably in my seat and ask casually, "Is that something you're interested in? Living like that?" She laughs.
"No way."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?